to start recording now. Recording now.
Oh,
We
audio.
are
Should I put my headphones in?
the headphones. We're doing check 1 2. This will be part of the recording. It is. It's a part of being organic. You know, just starting up a recording slash stream. You know what? I'm gonna do the same thing. Why not? We're gonna manage broadcast. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna manage this broadcast. YouTube access error. Well, then I can't then.
You can.
Recording. All right, we're just recording then.
Nice.
This is yeah. So welcome to the error. Welcome to the return of background noise. This is, and I have a brand new person from all the way down and somewhere over there in the European land. But like I don't know where that is. From trends unknown.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm everywhere, really.
Oh yeah. So tell us about introduce yourself, new person.
Hello, everyone. I am Trend Fox,
Yeah.
otherwise known as Roaming Trend. I
Hmm.
make a lot of analysis videos and generally complain about media. Recently, I've been talking about Has Been Hotel and a few other shows that caught my attention.
Sorry, I had to spit.
Oh my god.
It's because
So
you
yeah,
mentioned that show, and I'm like,
yeah, me too. No, it's not bad. It's not that terrible. It's a first try for. Well, actually, I would say it's the first try for Vivzy, but it's not. I feel like she needs to start learning the lessons from her shows and develop her craft a bit more. And I'm
Mhm.
hopefully we're gonna get some good shows out of it in the future. She has her foot in the door. All she needs now is to improve her skills.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
I've heard Hell of a Boss is a lot better.
Not very much.
Oh, okay.
Uh, in one way, it's a little bit cope
It's
from people. They're like
oh,
because
really?
yeah, because I'm not gonna go too far into it, but at least Hasman Hotel has a hotel to keep them focused somewhat,
Mm.
whereas Hell of a Boss tend to just go somewhere else completely, and I'm not even sure there is a plot. It just seems to be scenes with the
Scenes.
characters about it, like no overarching narrative. Um, but we're not here to talk about Has Been Hotel or Hell of a Boss.
Yes. Yeah, true. This is a stream on like so I so the whole crux for this sort of recording is because I had an idea for side characters because I have this idea in my head that side characters don't get the sort of respect that they deserve as characters as much as they should, at least when it comes from a mainstream perspective, or like they sort of depict them as like main characters, and I think that's um which can happen, but we'll reach into that bag as much as we can later on, if my analogy is correct. But
Mhm.
like, but uh, the whole idea of a side character is that they are not the main character. Um, they're sort of in the background, but sort of not. Um, and I should say this should lead us to I think what is a side character. Um, um, I don't know. Like, what do you think a side character is, Trent?
Oh, for me, I
Yeah.
think the side characters are very essential for any kind of storytelling medium. Normally, the side character tends to either complete or cover up the main protagonist's issues or flaws, or contrast them a little bit more. So the side character is really
Mm.
necessary to provide something that the main character doesn't have. So in Goku is, let's say, for example, a Goku Vegeta kind of situation. Goku is fairly sort of airheaded. He's good natured, whereas Vegeta is much more like he's smarter. He's a bit more angry. He's a bit more violent and not as pure. And they tend to contrast each other. they
Okay.
both kind of complete each other in a sense, and that's where I think side characters are most effective, is when they utilize one's strengths and weaknesses, and they sort of help each other out.
Um, it's kind of funny you mention that because that's gonna be one of my examples.
Hmm.
But, like, let's see, he's on a thumbnail for a reason. But not for the reason you might think.
Ooh.
But, so, yeah, I agree with all of that. My my definitions, I think, is a little more mainstream, where it's like they are not the sort of main characters. They can be, um, but, it's especially when it comes to the medium, because in a movie, side characters are just there in the background most of the time, and they sort of support the main character, or I think said it. It's like they contrast maybe, or maybe they're the antagonist. Um, Maybe they're the villains. Who knows? That's why a lot of simple heroes have simple villains, or because it's kind of funny. Whenever I think of simple villains, I think of Disney, like um,
Mhm.
sort of Renaissance era sort of thing. It's like they're just meant to sort of show the opposite of what the hero's worldview, or even the environment that they're in, like Little Mermaid, where it's like the Golden Throne versus the purple pit. Just by looking at it, you get this visual language of opposites. But
Mhm.
but we're talking about character though. But
Oh, well, if you want to
mhm.
see the location as the character, it
Yeah,
visually
yeah,
indicates the contrast. You cannot have the golden throne without the pit, because you need to
yeah, yeah.
know which one is good and which one is evil, and that's visually just representative of that.
Hmm.
So,
They make it their home, which is a part of their character.
yeah, yeah. If the villains stayed in the same sort of golden palace, you would not necessarily see them as a villain, but because they're in this sort of dark, gloomy background, you're like, "Okay, that visually
Hmm.
indicates to me that this is something different from the norm."
Or hiding in
Um
plain sight, or if they did, it'd be a different story.
It would be a different, yeah, it would be a different kind of,
Anyways,
story essentially, or a different meaning.
so basically, it's like support or anything like that. I mean, I'm talking about. It's kind of fun when I see side character. I usually think one of the good guys, but
Mhm.
that's not necessarily true. It's just that the mind wanders onto the other ones. I probably didn't define it as well as I should. I probably should have looked up a dictionary definition. But I'm pretty sure we have an idea of what a side character is, because usually it's like, oh, it's just that person over there.
Yep.
Um, even when it comes to side characters that have a few lines, lines does not, of course, amount of dialogue you have does not define you as side or main character, but it's usually you have less lines. It's sort of a tag along character. It's but oh, what should I say, it's almost like even some of them can be like extras sometimes. They can seem like extras, but
Mhm.
because even those people have agency. Because the whole reason why is that, when you see something like Man of Steel, and the reason why people are upset at or the city destroying scene, because you're destroying a lot of side characters, like in there, as well as the I said NPCs, but they're not NPCs. I mean extras. It's like, yeah, there's people inside those buildings that get destroyed, or like Godzilla, the New Empire just came out. Like they just destroy
Mhm.
monuments, and people are being used as fodder, but nah, we're having a good time. Like, huh, okay.
Yep, the key thing of that is good side characters tend to have some time spent on them to establish a relationship,
Hmm.
not just between the main character, but also the audience member. The audience members will need to care about the character first if you want to do the Godzilla, um,
Hmm.
and getting crushing people by the building. It's a lot more effective if you know those people and the impact
Of
it
course.
has. So the original Godzilla, not the original, because
Talking
the
about the black and
American.
white '60s something.
No, 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 no. Talking
Oh,
about the American one.
okay, okay. Mhm.
2006 was it? Like one of those like first Godzilla film before
Matthew
King of the
Broderick,
Monsters.
one.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, they spent some time a little like minor character, like there's a mother and a child and a soldier trying to help them while and
Oh,
they
you're talking
and
about the 2004, okay, yeah, yeah, 2014. Yeah, yeah.
2014, okay, sorry. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that those are the ones where you the camera moved down to like a little closer level to give us a little character, and it wasn't a big
Mhm,
role for them. It wasn't big, but it was enough for you to be like, okay, this is we're not just looking at this grand scale of thousands of people because we can't um analyze well, we can't really relate to 1,000 people. We can relate to a few people.
mhm.
And
Um,
that's why it's very effective that they use the camera to move closer to like a specific person. And then that's where the tragedy kicks in is when
mhm.
um you see them dying.
Of course, like, I think Independence Day does that as well
Mhm.
when it
Yeah.
comes to, like, well, no matter how good the character is, like, objectively, we're just coming at it from a, like, you don't wanna see people die, like, sorta way. They do it with, because when something bad happens, you run away. You know, it's like that's a natural reaction, but, like, it's
Mhm.
kinda funny, like, in these in these Marvel movies, it's like people are taking pictures, they stay around and they wanna take like, no, that's not what it feels like. You feel pulled out of the movie because they're not having a natural reaction. Like, it actually because that's not what a sort of person would do, you know? It's I understand there are people who do that, but they would be in the minority. Like, you're gonna run,
Mhm.
like, from this massive threat in front of you. Like, and so that definitely adds to the character of the threat, of the whole thing, because these extras do have a level of agency. So it's like, that definitely adds authenticity to your world.
Directing them the crowd of people is always a
Mhm,
challenge because you
mhm,
the nice thing the background characters will it's not that you can direct them and do something reasonable like as you said running away from danger is a natural thing, so it should be fairly easy to direct them as a group of
mhm.
people as a character like that's a general average person would do that, therefore it's best if you're a director to you know set up unless you're trying to explain something like people are that great like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
focus on
yeah.
getting the shot, they're not like they're risking their lives. But that's a
Mhm.
different kind of messaging once again.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, but as I said, if you go back to more side characters, more like important characters, not just background characters,
Mhm,
it's they're very useful tools to do a lot of interesting things without necessarily harming the main character.
mhm.
Um, one of the rules for a lot of in shonen anime is when the side character gets beaten up first by the villain.
Oh, yeah,
That's
the
normally
jobber. Yeah, it's like
yeah, yeah, that in order to show how strong the villain is,
Mhm.
they have to beat up the side character who's almost strong as the main character, but not maybe not as strong. And then the main character can come in and save the day. Like it's
Yeah.
such
That's
a
Krillin's
unforgiving
job.
rule.
Yeah. Like
Yeah, it's such a thankless job, but someone has to do it because how else
Mhm.
are you gonna like set up the that this guy is dangerous? Like this villain is not something to trifle with, and
Yeah,
that's
like,
the side of
General
the side
Blue does
character.
that very
Yeah,
well versus Mercenary Tao. He just kills him with his tongue. Like
yeah.
but, like,
If you,
let's, so, yeah, I think I wanna go from, like, a so I wanna talk about the first thing I'll talk about is actually, like, the Marvel type of, because that's definitely, huge, and they're dropping like flies now. Oh, in the cinema, those movies. But, like, when I hear talk about that, of course, it's just the idea of they used to have really good, side characters. My first point would go to Avengers,
mhm,
where Loki and, Black Widow are, um, uh, and Hawkeye are definitely side characters, even though they're in the main cast. Uh, but still, there are more side characters because, like, they get a bunch of time, like in the previous ones that were side characters. Like, but they were just background, really. They were just like, "Hey, look, it's a sexy person," like, you know, and like,
well,
it's just especially Black Widow. But
it's
like,
an interesting question to bring up, but what would you think is who's the main character of Avengers?
Iron Man.
It's an Iron Man story, you would consider.
Well, I think there's four main characters in Avengers: Hulk, Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor. Like they're
Not
the
Black Widow. Oh,
I think those are the ones because especially Iron Man and Captain America because they're the driving force of the of the team. Like he's Iron Man starts it, but but Captain America is the leader role. So it's like
yeah,
they sort of roll into each other. And
yeah.
then of course like I think Thor is a main character because he's had a main role before and so has the Hulk. So it's like
Um, Interesting. That I definitely see Captain America. I was thinking about that while you were talking. I was like, who
mhm.
would be the main character? And I honestly think it's gonna be Captain America
Yeah.
because he's taken on the leadership role and, the
Mhm.
sacrifice that, what's the name of the Agent Coulson is in?
Agent Coulson, he's a side character for sure.
Yeah, 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 but that it's about his sacrifice
I
is the
know.
one that encouraging, yeah,
He
is
is well
encouraging
characterized
the
enough.
growth,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um
So so,
I,
yeah, I would say Captain America definitely the main character. Iron Man was probably as well, but I don't know if I would put Hulk or Thor in there.
uh
They definitely have their stories, but I don't see how their narrative goes through. Um,
yeah. Yeah, that's a bit of a stretch for me. I think the only reason I put them as main characters because they had main character roles before.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
and whereas like Black Widow and Hawkeye had side character roles in those movies. So they're definitely more background. But it doesn't mean they're not well characterized in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Cause especially Black Widow, she has the I'm gonna copy some video essay from Mahler when it comes to Black Widow, but like the whole thing of she interrogates somebody and but she's being interrogated herself. It's a reverse interrogation. Like it's where she's captured by this Russian guy and holding at the chair and she just she's getting you know like uh like how would you say tortured for information, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh
Interrogated.
and
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, I'm happy with that word.
So it's like yeah, I'm it's like not necessarily tortured, but like she's being like yelled at like aggressively, but then it's
Mhm.
like starts she gets caught on purpose as it says later on in the phone call. A really good use of exposition from uh from her just being on the phone. It allows it to come out naturally instead of just saying why she's there. But but yeah, so this is a huge contrast later on where she tries to interrogate Loki inside the cell, where Loki's the one actually controlling her. But as we learn later on, like they're doing a lot of things to each other. And where she is tricking him, but it's at the expense of emotional damage to her mental state.
Emotional damage.
Yeah. And so
Mhm.
and I love that scenes because later on she says Loki did hurt her like very much. It's like I'm gonna make I'm gonna make Hawkeye freaking I'm gonna make Hawkeye kill you, okay? Slowly. And then when he's soon as you've died from all that stuff he did, I'm gonna let him go of his mind control and then kill him. Just to know what he did before he dies. It's like, wow, what a talk about like an evil Loki. Like definitely another like side character that is done well.
Has I kind of forgot now a little bit of the Avengers, but
Mhm.
did they establish the relationship between Hawkeye and, Black Widow before Hawkeye gets mind controlled?
Um it's done in very small amounts of dialogue, but they definitely do have a connection. Um, it's not very well detailed, I believe it's said in an exposition-y way. But the thing is, though, like I think they do it so well in dialogue. It's just written so well and performed so well that I can feel their connection. Especially when they have their one-on-one fight on the airship. It's you can tell like she doesn't want to hurt him, but like she has to fight for her life. Like there's a lot of performances from those two that like make them very well defined in that movie. So I think
Yeah.
that's good enough.
Mhm.
Uh,
Again,
mhm,
do we still consider them side characters at this point, in the Avengers?
I think so.
So if
Well, I should say they become main characters at this point during the end of the during the end.
yeah,
Because you're kind of like because when they do the circle shot, you see all the Avengers. They're now all main characters now. It's like um, that's how you're supposed to feel. I think.
because, well, the way I'm seeing, when we talked about what makes a good side character, and I pointed out,
Hmm.
like, is the relationship to the main character and what they add to, what the side character adds to the main character. But I feel like that's why I don't know whether I would say Black Widow is a side character and some because they don't add to the main character. Like her relationship with Tony or Captain America is fairly non-existent, I would say. Like we consider them as the main
Mm-hmm.
characters, but
I would
she's
still
doing
call
her
them.
own plot line. She's
I would
doing her
still
own
call
plot
them
line.
side characters.
Yeah,
They do have their own stuff going on, but they definitely add to the plot. Like they're not just there as uh I should say they add to the plot, but as side characters, I guess. Not necessarily to the main characters themselves.
yeah.
I think that's a distinction.
Hmm.
So
Because yeah, I'm trying to
it's
remember now. I was quiet
mhm,
because I was thinking about like where does Black Widow anyway like have a relationship or complements or contrast Iron Man or Captain America,
hmm,
and she's mostly just doing their own stuff. She's not
mhm,
necessarily treated like a side character, but she's
oh,
not a main. Yeah, I agree. She's not doesn't feel like a main character because I feel like her
mhm,
journey is a bit not as developed as let's say Captain America's or Iron Man's. So
mhm.
it's an interesting place for her. I don't know where I would necessarily class her.
Yeah, that's why I said side character because I think when it comes to maybe there's a third category called mid character,
Mid
like
character.
on your way to becoming a main character. Like because she really does become a main character by the end. Like I believe she's integral to shutting the portal.
Like Loki's a perfect side character, and so even he's a villain,
Mhm.
but every t every interaction with him and every single character from the Avengers is, as I said, adding to complementing or contrasting.
Mhm.
Like the
Especially
way
Thor, right?
yeah,
Mm.
Thor is trying to be the noble hero, obviously, so and he
Mhm.
knows Loki, as a family member. Captain America, when he faced off against Loki, you see this ideological battle of this guy's say coming here for freedom from the America way, and that's contrasting against Loki's dictatorial kind of
Yeah,
perspective.
he's a Loki's a dictator in Germany. Like
Yeah.
that's how on the nose it is.
You
Like
have the Iron Man conversation with Loki
mhm.
and Tony Stark of like two intellectuals like having
Yeah,
this
it's
sort of rivalry of
I
wits,
ne-
and then you have
I never thought about
brutality,
it that way. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a
and
good point.
and then you have the brutality of Loki and the Hulk, where Hulk just smashes. He doesn't care about Loki's deceptions or manipulations or anything. He just grabs and smash. And all of these, like that's why Loki is such a good side character, is because in every single interaction, and again Black Widow in that regard,
Yeah, yeah.
like
In that interrogation, like
the
it's a psychological battle that she thinks she can win, but
yeah.
she actually
So
gets emotional damage. Yeah,
so
from
yeah,
it.
that's how I can see like there's a Loki's an effective side character because he shows everything the main characters in a specific light.
Especially
Uh,
Hawkeye. He takes control of him. Like
yeah, but but that's an interesting poor Hawkeye never gets a chance to explore like
mhm.
a battle with Loki. He never wins. Like all of the other characters tend to sort of win against Loki in one way or the other. Hawkeye doesn't. Oh no,
Well,
he does get
yeah.
it. He
Yeah,
catches the arrow and
he
it
catches the
explodes.
arrow and it explodes. It's like
Yeah.
crap. It's like
So yeah, even then, Loki gets outsmarted in he undermines Hawkeye's abilities, which then which takes him by
mhm.
surprise. So yeah, Loki works as a great side character for all of these characters. Like,
Yeah, I know. He
they always have a moment together.
that
Each one
shows
of
how
them have a
strong the
chapter.
writing is. Like,
Yeah. It's care. There's a lot of care put into, like, because you have such a good character. Loki is such a good character. He fits with almost every character in the
mhm,
event. Well, MCU. I was gonna say Avengers. Definitely Avengers. But like I'm thinking like his interactions with other characters beyond the Avengers.
mhm.
Um, but again, I would need to think specifically on which ones. But
He
he's just a good character. He's just a good foil for all
mhm,
of these characters. That's why
and,
it's very difficult to see him as the main character necessarily. Uh,
I think that's yeah, because like, it definitely you definitely want it's kinda funny, people wanted Loki to be a main character, and he kinda is later on. He
mhm.
becomes a pal to Thor in, Ragnarok. Yeah, that's it. But, like, now I wanna move to modern day, sort of, the reasons
But we're
why.
in the modern day.
I
Go on.
know, but, like,
More modern.
the whole modern day MCU, like, writing, they're trying so hard to move side characters to the forefront,
Mhm,
without really earning it.
mhm.
When it comes from a writing, it's sort of directing or even a meta like standpoint. Um, I think uh, um, as some people on the internet will just say, it's like you're just doing it because of certain obligations from like because it's in the comics somewhere. It's like if it's bad in the comics, don't adapt those. Adapt the good stuff, or have somebody who knows because like
And they want to keep their
and
actors as well.
have not just that, have people who have a background in doing writing, cinematography, and directing. Not necessarily cinematography, but like it's like a that's writing, directing, like
A
because you
basic understanding of subtext and, visual storytelling, that would be nice.
yeah, or like just get it,
Mhm.
just make a 5 out of 10 sometimes. That's all we ask. Like people will go see an average movie
Uh,
if it has like a few good scenes. Like it doesn't take
so you're
much
crazy.
for
You're asking for too much.
normies. I'm
You're
sorry.
asking for too much.
Yeah, apparently
You
because
want a
like
good movie?
make it,
Crazy.
I know it's like they came from a place of we can't fail. It's like the cinematic universe of the Titanic. They thought they thought they were too big, like, there's no way it can sink. Then they found out when they hit the iceberg, it's like, that they're going down slowly and they couldn't save it. Like,
I mean,
um
there's ways of saving, using the side characters and making the main characters. You just need
mhm,
to add more side characters for them to establish to, like, develop them further. That's sort of the process normally, is just like, what story are you gonna tell with the side character? Why is the side character important? Why is their story more important than the previous main character? Because they would tell a different story, but, like, it's a challenge. It's a very challenging thing to do. Not impossible, but it is challenging.
um,
Uh
oh, yeah, like, I'm not saying it's easy, but, like, it's
Trying to think
also
who would be a good example though. Is there a main character that, or sorry, side character that became a good main character?
what they used to have them all the time. I mentioned the Avengers for a reason because a lot of those characters were just window dressing, and all of a sudden they became really good main characters, and they get to maintain their main characterness, I guess, through future sequels. But like, but then uh, for the modern version, like you have the it's like we have Ironheart. Who remembers Ironheart? Like I don't know
Who?
if people know who Ironheart is.
Who? Who are you talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah, exactly. It's like she was
You mean Iron Man, right? The famous Tony
no,
Stark guy. Oh,
no. Ironheart, which is a in Wakanda Forever, there's this Tony Stark like character. Um it's like, oh, it's like, well, I'm I'm in a college and I just built this machine thing. Like there it is, and like suddenly she shows up. Like, oh, okay. And
to
like
be fair,
that's
it's fantasy college. It's fantasy
Yeah.
MCU college. The fact that, Peter Parker has a 3D printer that prints basically anything, it's not too
Well
far fetched from what
well,
Iron Man
that's
too.
it that's the, you know what? That makes more sense because, it's that guy's apartment, the guy who owns Stark Industries, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, okay." And all he has is a 3D printer. She has, like, advanced technology on her body all the time. It's like, this is
Mhm.
way up there of about what's going on, and, of course, that trailer, it's like where it's like she starts, like, being, aggressive toward the Wakandan ladies, and it's like, "I like her." It's like that's another thing, like, the whole, like, dialogue talking about how good she is, like, how good their characters are. Like, "Yeah, you like this person now." Like, "No, we don't. You just said that we're just gonna like them no matter what." And then attitude is a very meta thing from the writers to project them in. Like, and it transfers to the audience about, "Ugh, I don't
Normally
you're trying too hard."
normally these characters don't really have a place to go because there was no story to tell. They got the it's like when you make an OC and you try to make
Mhm.
a character like a story about it, but you haven't figured out what the story is. So he's just gonna wander around and do generic things, and that's it's not gonna be relatable. Normally, you make a
Yeah.
character specifically designed to tell a story of which one you want. In Tony Stark's case, it's about like uh, basically a CEO, a company CEO who was a gun manufacturer during the war, who changed his mind. Like he's
Yeah.
meant to be the jerk who tries to find like an alternative lifestyle or alternative like career choice because of the traumatic experience that he had of him like encountering the thing that he's promoting changes perspective. There was a story first, there was an idea first, and then the character grew out of it. But Ironheart, what story does she have? Oh, she's just Iron Man. You know, she's just a younger college student Iron Man. Like
Yeah, well,
not a story.
Iron Woman, but yeah,
That's
like
a doodle. Character doodle right there. It's like no.
like,
What's her arc? Like
it's
what does
it's
she want?
it's kind of funny you say OC, right?
Yeah.
Because that's definitely kind of what it is from a meta perspective as well. Um, where it's like they wanted a well, I should say, I'm just gonna say it, diverse, like Iron Man.
Mhm.
So they went all the way in the comics, and then they repeated it in the MCU. Like,
Yeah.
and that was a projection of what they wanted, and it's like it didn't work in the comic space. What makes you think it's gonna work in the movie space?
Mhm.
Because, like, the definition of insanity sort of thing where it's like, you keep repeating it and wanting a different outcome.
To be fair, I kind of feel like that's a problem with the producers, not necessarily the creators of the Ironheart. Because normally you would have
Mhm.
a little pitch meeting, like where you can pitch ideas, and if they only came in with like a little piece of paper saying Ironheart, and they're like, "Great, what's the pitch?" I'm like, "Diverse female Iron Man," and they just go, "Yep, approved." It's like, okay, well, I don't really blame the writers at this point. Like,
Uh,
was there no producer challenging that? Like, normally you would have a group of
well,
producers sitting there
it's hard
and
to
going
do
like,
that,
"Okay,
right?
and" yeah, they
It's
didn't
hard
do
to
that.
do
"Okay,
that.
and," I said, "Yes."
It's gonna be hard to, to go up against it sometimes because of what the higher ups want. The all
Mhm.
these directors, producers, like, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard.
So someone has to green light it, and we kind of
I
forgot the people
know.
who need to be responsible. They need to be at least asked the question, like, the if I got a picture with, like, a little pitch saying, "Female Iron Man," and I would be like, "Go on, and?" And they would be like, "Yeah, that's it." Like, "No, fail. Get come back with another pitch. Tell me the actual story, not like
Mhm.
just like there's nothing there. What are you giving me?" But, like, apparently, no, that's enough for the Disney producers. They're like, "Great, clap. Here's
Yeah,
your
please clap.
$500 million. Here you go. Have
That's
fun, kids."
that's what it feels like whenever you see them on screen. It's like it's just supposed to you're supposed to latch onto it because it reminds you of this other thing. Like, please clap. Like, well,
No.
people aren't clapping anymore. They're kind of like it's like there's a Simpsons meme where, like, there's a cow and, like, "Please stop milking me." You know, it's like,
Well,
uh
what are they milking? There's nothing there to milk.
Yeah,
They're
exactly, that's the point. It's like,
it's like they're milking a rock. Like,
it's
what are
like,
they gonna get out of it? It's just like nothing
"Roxy,
there.
no."
Roxy, no.
But,
Yeah.
like, but yeah, it always reminds me of, like, when they're like, was it, Wanda is a great example, I think, of she was once a side character, but moved to main character status in a good way.
Mhm.
She went from the enemy of the Avengers, becoming one of the Avengers, and, like, in the Age of Ultron, and then she sort of molded into a sort of character. Let's see, where and then, like, during Infinity War, like, she had this whole thing with Vision, and then they pushed her to the front un unnaturally, from I believe it's from, like, s I think WandaVision was the beginning of the end, where it's like they wrote her to have a town hostage and mind controlling them and, like, pretty much forcing them to do stuff with her. And then you have her, like, I want and you have the director saying, "I want that person to be a bad guy in my next movie."
Mhm.
It's like it's like they weren't really ready, but it's like, "No, no, no, I wanna play with that toy." Like, that's my action figure. I wanna play with it.
Well, you think of what does Wanda offer to the story? Like in Age of Ultron, she was essentially, basically a teenager along with her brother, and they were obviously, like, lashing out against, um, what is it, Tony Stark, which again,
Mhm,
that's what he found Ultron. They had a common goal, but it's a sort of a almost like a superhero, supervillain tantrum. But they
mhm,
realized, like, even siding with Ultron is not what they want. It's not, and that's
mhm,
that's where the redemption arc comes in. That's where they need to learn to be heroes in order to,
mhm,
um, develop themselves further. And what happens with Wanda, she's learning, she's taken in, she already lost her family, she lost her brother, and the Avengers are giving her a chance to basically offering her a new family. And
yep,
now you're having this civil war where the family is breaking apart, and where does Wanda come in? And that was her role in the story. Um,
mhm,
that's why she had to pick a, like, she was sort of sitting in a room and inactive, but she's coming to the stage where she needs to make a decision and pick a
mhm,
side. And then they completely abandoned that premise when they introduced WandaVision.
yeah,
Well, they had the Infinity War where she actually has a, again, she's losing another family member in terms of uh, what's his face,
she's losing
Vision.
her husbando
Yeah.
vision. Yeah,
Well, I didn't even see them as a husband and wife, to be honest. I kinda,
okay,
well, kind of, I see it a little bit,
mhm,
but it just seemed like it's more like a father-daughter kind of situation between the 2. Um, he's much more older, mature, and she's more, sort of, um, I'm gonna say
mm,
emotional without being sexist. Uh, she has sort of, spur of the moment ideas, but again, what does WandaVision deliver? It doesn't feel like there's any kind of continuationing of her growing. Like, when does the mother role comes in? Why did at what point did she's like, "Yeah, I want children and I want husbando vision." Like, where did that frame of mind come from? I don't remember that in the previous films.
I I get the idea that it's kinda true, where I think you have a point of, like, where the children thing came from, but I think of her I think, like, the whole thing is, like, she wanted a family, and so she kinda gave herself a family. I think that's what they were trying to do with the
She had the Avengers was her family.
yeah, but then she was like, I think the route they probably should have took is, like, "I'm gonna lose my family, therefore, I'm gonna make one of my own that I can keep forever." It's like, but I think they were trying to do that, but, of course, it's all about execution,
Mhm.
and, but they just wanna do an episodic thing where it's like, "What's going on? What's the mystery of what she's doing?" Well, it just turns out that, like, she had a psychopathic break because it happened in the comics. It's, um one of the
I just don't
things.
understand her. Like, I don't understand what's her motivation. But that's what again, which happens when you try to make side characters into the main characters.
Um,
It's like
when you
we
do it
don't know
badly,
what
when you do it
yeah.
badly, yes. I don't think there's anything wrong with necessarily putting side characters as main characters because that's what happened to F- Vegeta. It's like we're gonna make a main character, and he had the most interesting. He's probably one of the most interesting people in Dragon Ball because of it.
That's what's well, going back to Vegeta, you did now. It's we never had the Vegeta show,
True.
so that's yeah. And I would wonder what kind of show that would be. The Vegeta show, it's like Dragon Ball Vegeta. I'm like, what are we watching? Just him training all the time and moping? Like, what is his goal? But you could still do it. You could still definitely do it.
Oh yeah,
Um, what
it
I did
does
find
become the. That's it. That's
yeah.
what's interesting about show versus movies. I think. So yeah, I think the whole point is like my whole point of the Marvel thing is like them forcing it in a bad way, or like the meta and producers, the source material being not so good. But then again, you can always do good things with bad examples. Like learn your lessons. Like I think they learned the wrong lessons from the past because there's a lot of scripting's ideas that they could have ran with and kept going. But like again, like I still think they're not as good. Um, you want to?
Mhm.
I think we'll move on to. Sorry about
As you
that.
were describing,
Whoops. Sorry about that.
you know, what's
I'm
happening.
I'm having I'm having issues. Sorry.
That's okay. That's
Yeah.
okay.
So when it
It's all
comes,
recorded. You can edit it.
yeah, yeah. But for Vegeta, um,
Vegeta.
s-
Vegeta. Hmm.
yeah, yeah. So this type of side character. Now I think we're going to like types of side characters. I think Vegeta is one of them.
Mhm.
That like So what I hear, is it true that he was never meant to be a continuing character?
That is true, but the
Mm,
amazing late Akira Toriyama still thought a nice role for him and made him into a main character.
mhm,
Uh, and that shows again the talent that he had. And something I really admire about him, he found interesting concepts for side characters for the side characters that became popular. He, despite the deadlines, despite all the like the pressure of writing manga, he still managed to give a very strong arc for Vegeta. And I think
mhm.
a lot of people would, say that Vegeta is their favorite character in many cases,
Yes.
and
It
that just
it
shows like the quality of care he Toriyama puts into a character that wasn't even meant to be there for the long haul. He was meant to be defeated and gone. But
mhm,
yeah, even with that idea, like if I had to write a story, I'm like, okay, this guy is gone, and then people were like, no, bring him back. I'm like, oh my god, I have to now think of an actual way of putting this character into and make it good and make it this good. It's just like, no, this is again. That's why it's such a shame that poor Akira Toriyama passed away. It's just like this
mhm.
legendary writer.
Yeah,
Um,
we did lose an artist.
mhm,
But like I think one of the things that's like on the focus on this character is because it's one of those characters that wasn't meant to be a main character. That's really important because there's a lot of those. Um, so
mhm.
if people don't know, um, uh, my favorite show is Yu Yu Hakusho, and the same thing happens in that where Hiei was not supposed to be a mainstay, but people loved him so much that he had to bring him back in. And of course, he's the Vegeta type. Like he's like he's like I don't even care if you die, Baka. You know, like sort of character. And it's like he's
I
this
like those.
edgy boy who like
The edgy contrasting character from the
he's a contrast. Well, he's not the complete contrast of Yusuke. He's the how should I put this? Like he's definitely the he's the cutthroat of the group. Um, he doesn't. He makes alliances to get to pretty much like uh just to gain strength, like or to put himself in the like in into an advantage for like survival. He's
Does
very
he,
mhm.
I was gonna ask, is he the one that fights the villain and then gets beaten up, and then,
No,
the main character has to pop in?
no, that doesn't really
Oh,
happen. But,
oh,
like
nice.
he's not the type of guy, but he's definitely is the Vegeta type where it's like, he's like "I'm gonna fight you, but not because I wanna fight you, because there's, like, an ideological clash at one point." So, like,
Mhm.
but Vegeta is like, "I wanna stay on Goku's tail." Why? Because he defeated me, and so, like, I wanna get some sort of revenge, and, but it ends up being of, like, we do have to do it for survival, like, especially against Frieza, and, like but he wants Frieza dead so much that, he gives him the speech of, like, "You need to be the Saiyan you need to be before he dies," and, like, I love that little speech he gives.
It's
So
it's a great scene, but it's actually more importantly for Goku is to
mhm.
acknowledge his Saiyanhood. It's
Yes.
the first time Goku is like seeing he's not just an Earthling anymore. He now has to embrace the fact that he's a Saiyan.
Yes.
He's like Vegeta, and he has
Mhm.
to embrace that sort of uh,
His
quote
heritage.
anchor. Yeah, yeah, his heritage, and that's why Vegeta is again such an important character for Goku in the Frieza arc.
Mhm.
Um,
It's really
yeah,
good.
that's it's really it's and even him's Vegeta's interaction with Gohan, like, you know,
Mhm.
the scene where they meet up together at Namek,
Mhm.
and he's like, "We're you're
You're
the
half
son of
Saiyan.
a dying race. I
Yeah.
will not kill you. There's no like, I can even take you in as my own kinda thing." Um, you
He
know,
he kinda
if your
mocks
father
him,
yeah,
he kinda mocks him that way. He's like, you're half Saiyan. That means you're part of our race. Maybe I'll take you under my wing." That's like a joke, and he's like, because he's kinda teasing Gohan. He's like he's like, "Haha, that's right, your dad's not here. Haha." Like, it's like
but even think about it this way, it's like Vegeta, whose entire planet got killed, all of his friends,
mhm.
or sorry, his family got killed. He has no one, and while he was sort of, immature when he killed Nappa, and, I think that's that's where you see there's a little bit of inconsistency for him. He
Oh,
does
yeah,
value say
because he's weak. He's like, "Oh, you're
yeah,
weak." Yeah, I know.
yeah, yeah, but even then, he would I think the Vegeta we got in the in the Saiyan arc, compared to the Frieza arc is a very different, and that's where you can see a little bit of Akira Toriyama, like, writing him back in because a
Mhm.
villain destroying his, like, minion
Oh,
is like, "Oh,
yeah, that's
normal
true.
thing."
Like, that's how I feel
But
about Hiei. It's like, you made him so evil, and then you have to draw him back in as being complicated. And I'm like, "No, these are not the same things."
yeah,
But y
especially when you see a character who's Vegeta, who's such a being a Saiyan or Saiyans are so important for him, I don't think he would throw Nappa and kill him just because, like, okay, he failed the fight, but
he kills
he
him
would still
twice.
yeah, 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 no. This man cares
G
about the
G
Saiyan pride,
GT
Saiyan race.
lore, everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 so and but that's what I'm saying, like, you gotta have to forget a little bit of that Saiyan the Vegeta from the Saiyan saga and Vegeta from the Frieza saga, those are very different characters,
Mhm.
um, but
Somewhat,
what we gotta get in the Saiyan
uh,
saga
well,
oh, go
I
ahead.
would say that, like, I'm sorry to interrupt, but,
No,
like,
no, go.
the whole thing of, like, he is consistent with his attitude, but not his actions. Like,
Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah, 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 yeah. And, like but then I like the idea when he got recontextualized, like, he's starting a family with
Bulma.
Bulma.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, and his explanation in the Buu saga was like, "Oh, it's because I was chasing after Goku, after Kakarot. I
Yeah.
thought it was the love for your friends that gave you the power to surpass me, so I got my own family. It didn't work for me." And it's like, "Aw," like but then you have to think, like, did he actually do it just for the power, or did he actually wanted a family? And then you start to, like, really delve into the character.
Mhm.
Like, how much of his attitude is actually, like his actions and his attitude towards his actions are in line, or how much are they contradicting each other? And it's not
Mhm.
contradicting in a bad way, but contradicting, like, in a
It's
his
sort of
actions
retconning in a
yeah,
way, right?
yeah, it's sort of well, it's more to do, like his actions tell you a different story about him. It tells you a different subtext that even though he's like saying, "Oh, I'm only doing this for to fight Goku." I was like, "Really?" And then, in a sense, he does in the Buu Saga, he does realize that he does care for his family. He
Oh,
does care
yeah.
for his
Goku calls him out on it, in fact. He's like, "That's not true, dude." It's like,
yeah.
"What are you talking about?" And that's
Right.
how he comes back. He's like, "What about Bulma and, like, your kid?" He's like, "I don't care." He's like, "I don't care, like, I'm just trying to get stronger." It's like, "Dude, even you don't believe that."
The
Like
ultimate midlife crisis. That's what
yeah.
it is. The Buu Saga was just Vegeta's midlife crisis. And again, you can use that. You can use Vegeta in so many different ways.
Mhm.
Goku doesn't need a midlife crisis necessarily. He's not that complex. He doesn't have enough introspection to have a midlife crisis. He's
True.
just like, yeah, he's a kid and he's been a kid for, even as an adult, he's sort of childish.
Well, we'll go down that road another time, but there's also another side character that I like who didn't. So, in Buffy, there's a character called Spike, really popular. He's like when people put up favorite characters, Spike is usually at the top of the list. Well, he was never meant to be on there for more than one season. I don't quote me on that, but yeah, he wasn't meant to stick around. But people loved him so much that it. But here's the thing, though. Joss Whedon wrote him very simply. He's like his whole thing is like killing the Slayer line. That's what he does.
Yeah.
And so that's why he's in Sunnydale, kept very simple. And so from that simplicity though, like he's kept written the same throughout the entire rest of the series. And and it builds upon from that sort of first encounters instead of him being like he was always evil, he always will be this evil dude, but like but as time goes on he becomes more complex, he becomes more acceptable even though he does these terrible things. Life's more complicated than that, like and like even like these immortal beings of vampires go through their own drama and all this stuff. It's very very good use of a simple character turning into a more complex one.
Eh, why do you think they liked the audience liked him so much? Was it because
Because
he's simple? Or,
not because he's simple. I think it's because his attitude, he's competent. Um his atmosphere, he's very fun, his way of talking, his views on life. It's like everything sort of about him I think people liked. He comes off as sympathetic too. Like
yeah.
even though he's an evil person. Like
How
mhm.
similar or different is he to Buffy?
Similar to Buffy, they're opposite. She wants
Okay.
to well, opposite in so much that like they both want to live, of course. You know, one of these
Mhm.
but like but she's Buffy is rebellious, but she's also like but she does it for the greater good. Like she'll sneak out of school in order to help somebody. Like she's giving up her education, her educational and personal
Mhm.
friendships in order to help people. Like she has to sacrifice that.
To
Where
be fair, she's a slayer, so
well, yeah,
they don't last
exactly.
very long. I don't
Mhm.
know what.
But the whole thing is like she wants those things,
Yeah, yeah,
she can never have them.
yeah.
But she does make personal relationships. Whereas like it's kind of funny, like very similar to Spike, he does have a personal relationship, but like but he wants to end life. He doesn't care how life ends. He just wants to get the job done. Like but it's like but this Slayer is different because she has friends which help her out, which is it's going to be harder. So he does his research on her, like starts to watch her and like see how she works. You know,
Mhm.
he's a hunter, a stalker. Um, I don't know how.
It's yeah,
Mhm,
yeah. It's interesting that he, from what you described, I don't know much
mm,
about Buffy. He does sound like because Buffy's a vampire slayer, she's the one tends to be the hunter, but now
mhm,
you have a character who's hunting her,
Mhm.
and how does that affect her, affect her, sort
L
of
life?
ability? Not just
Very
life,
much
but, like,
so.
her
Yeah.
her dynamic, her power dynamic. You're now no longer in the top of the food chain kinda thing. You're not no longer in charge of, like, hunting. Now you're being hunted,
It's
and s if
s
Spike that
sort
means Spike
of.
has to be a bit
Yeah.
more a bit tougher of an enemy than, just your random
Mhm.
vampire guy.
Well, yeah, he's killed the past 2 Slayers or whatever, that's kind of his thing, where it's like,
Mhm.
uh of course, like, it's not the first time Buffy is gonna begin something bigger than herself. Like, the first season was The Master, which was, like, the closest thing to a super vampire. If he gets loose,
Yeah,
like, it's gonna be bad, and of course, like, she fulfills some prophecy,
yeah,
but whatever, but this time, it's like, it's this guy who has, like, um who's just, like, doing his research, and it's like, starts to get involved with her personal life and all this
yeah.
stuff, like, it's a bit
In
different.
in a sense, what I'm kinda getting at is, even though in the previous episodes or previous seasons she faced off against powerful enemies, they were not as focused on hunting down slayers. Is that correct to
Yeah, yeah,
say?
yeah, but, like,
Like, they
it
have their own goals, and Buffy's just in the way, whereas
mhm,
Spike's goal is Buffy.
yes.
So it's a lot more intimate relationship between the 2.
Funny you say that,
Mhm.
because that's another thing that gets brought up in the future where it's like, one time at the end of an episode, or it's like the middle of the episode where Spike has a nightmare where he starts to make up with Buffy and he wakes up, he's like, "Oh god, no." He's like and
Well, it
like
makes sense.
yeah, it's like it's almost like, you become personal with, like, and here's the thing though, Spike is smart. One of the best things about, Spike as a side character is that, he's not dumb enough to, because, a lot of evil dudes want to destroy the world because it's fun, or something like that,
Yeah,
or they're crazy enough to do it.
and
So Spike
it
is
was
like,
bad to me.
yeah, Spike is
That's
like,
what I want.
no, 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 like Earth is great. Like you have, it's like okay, the world is great as it is. Like it has Manchester United and it has little Happy Meals on legs. It's like,
Like,
but it's like, but it's like, yeah, I live in it, so so they team up to stop it, you know. But it's
yeah,
like, and but then there at the end, he's like, he's looking at Buffy like getting her like crap beat out of her, and it's like, and Spike is like, oh gosh, they're gonna kill her. He shrugs and walks away. It's like it's just like
yeah.
he's like,
Well, so
yeah.
what I'm curious about this character, about Spike, is, what if he succeeds in killing Buffy?
Then he
He
just
still
goes on
loves
to the
the Earth,
next one.
right?
He goes on to the
Hmm?
next one because
Okay.
whenever a Slayer dies, the power transfers to a new chosen one.
Okay. So he's a looming always a looming threat.
Yep.
Because, what my worry is that, or at least what I like about this sort of concept, like, if he does succeed, but he's still observed, he's not like the other vampires who want to destroy or rule the Earth. So he
Hmm.
could technically become a Slayer because he cares for Earth, and
Hmm.
if he kills all the Slayers, uh, he will have to become a Slayer kinda thing, because he already has the
Who knows?
skills. Yeah,
Well,
it's
yeah, like
it
let's just say it gets complicated because I don't want to spoil the whole thing because like Spike
it
has
does.
a really detailed life of things.
So
He doesn't exactly, the only reason he compliments the the Buffy as the main characters or the main character cast is because he interacts with them with dialogue and stuff like that. He's not necessarily the opposite.
yeah.
Um he's almost very similar. It's just that it's 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 not a reflection, but it's definitely not like opposite either.
No, no.
He's his own character.
Yeah. It's one of those things where you have a character obsessed with just hunting down the other character. They sort of become very similar,
Mhm.
and because you have to have the skills in order to the same skills or the same mindset in order to get into, like, the thing you're hunting down. So I can imagine Spike
Get
becoming
into
sort of
their
very
head,
Buffy-esque,
yeah.
or
Mhm.
like a sort of a darker version of Buffy. Because in one way, the vampire she is the Spike to the other vampires. You know,
Yeah,
she's there to hunt the vampires down.
yeah.
So
That's a meta li that's not a meta line or anything, but, like, in the show, it's like, "I'm the things that vampires have nightmares about."
yeah, yeah. So she is the Spike to the vampire. So again, that's why I kind of is assuming that's why Spike was such a likable character for the fans.
He wanted
It's like you could see
Yeah,
him being a
exactly.
slayer himself in a
He's just
sense.
really charismatic too, like,
Yeah.
James Masters is really charismatic, like,
Hmm.
as an actor. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
that also adds to it, his charm. But
Hmm.
anyways, I think the next subject be quite more interest let's see, like, let's talk
What is
about
it going to
the,
be?
emotional support, side character. Um,
Ooh.
uh, the one I have on screen is, Keiko from Yu Yu Hakusho, emotional support,
Hmm.
um, sort of side character, but I wanna know what you think is emotional support.
An emotional support character.
Emotional support side character, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In anime, it tends to be sort of the love interest,
Mhm.
or
True.
but it doesn't have to be. But one of the things that they do is normally they don't have the powers to actually physically help. So all they can do is
Mhm.
basically be the cheer squad or like provide some sort of
Mhm.
support on the character's inner conflict rather than the external conflict.
Mhm.
It's your typical Adrian
Motivation.
In Rocky,
Yeah, yeah,
you
that's what
know.
I was gonna say, like, his girlfriend, she provides the motivation for him to win.
Yeah, it's usually female characters, but not always. But
True.
what they do is they don't have to be love interest necessarily. But what I think their power really is the main characters or love and care for this side character.
Mhm.
Like she has, Adrian sort of has a lot more power because despite how strong Rocky is, he is very much,
He's human.
um, yeah, he's very much in requiring Adrian to spur him on. She's
Mhm.
technically sort of has a bit stronger power of over him. So
Mhm.
whatever happens to her, that's enough to emotionally drive him to either protect her. It might be um, if he doubts himself and she affirms his dream. He's like, go get him, and then that's enough. That's confirmation for him to know what to do because a conflict characters' internal conflicts are normally like confusion, and the emotional support characters are the ones that give them the perspective that they need to make the choice that they need to make.
So how would
Um,
Oh, sorry, I
No, go
didn't
on, go on. I'm done. Yeah.
But,
Mhm.
like, how in I think these roles are really important. Um, I've
Yep.
I've never been the idea where it's like, you're just emotional support." That when you're not doing the same thing that the main character is doing, you can't they can't or should say, like, they can't do what the main character does, therefore they're useless. I've never
Mhm.
understood that mindset. Like, emotional support is very beneficial to not only storytelling, characters, but also in real life. When also it comes to your mental state, um, a good comment can make your day. It really can.
Mhm.
Um, especially when it comes from like you're right. Also, I think everyone becomes a cheer squad at some point. It's not just even main characters can become cheer squads at one
Mhm.
point if they're not fighting. They're like, oh my gosh, like look what's going on. Come on, you can do it. It's like also there's also friendship, like side characters. I
Mhm.
think Sailor Moon is the one I thought of first, where it's like so there's a like Serena is friends with that redhead and that guy with the glasses. I forget their names. But like there are side characters, but they give her emotional support. Like
Mhm.
but only at school. Like she has talked with them and make sure that like they're good with stuff. Like talk to them has a you know they'll have this close like friendships, you know, and like but they're definitely not involved. Like they're involved very little with the actual plot. Whereas with like Keiko from Yu Yu Hakusho, it's very involved in the plot because she's there from the very beginning as like this childhood friend, love interest
Mhm.
who um who is like who knows everything about Yusuke even though he's a punk. It's like she knows what's really going on inside, and she knows exactly how to like like you said, she always wins arguments because she knows them. It's like because she is emotional support. She's
She is the
usually these are straight men characters, not in a romantic way, but like they're no nonsense. They're uh they're straight to the point because that wouldn't help the main characters for them to beat around the bush. It's like we need to say exactly what's going on, and 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 the situation.
yep. Because well, think about it this way. In the what's her name of the this character from Yu Hakusho?
Ke-
Kiko.
Keiko.
Keiko.
Hmm.
Yeah. Keiko has to be the straight man. She is technically the equivalent of a Jiminy Cricket. She is she's giving him not just moral support, she's giving her a common sense because he's a punk. He doesn't necessarily have the maturity or like sort of understanding of
Hmm.
like how to behave in this situation. And that's why Keiko comes in and like go gives him guidance like he's like you idiot, you're not supposed to do it this way. You need
Yeah,
to do this
exactly.
thing or
Mhm. It's
yeah, she
like
is the
you're supposed to
conscience that's
be in a
speaking to
blue
her.
jumpsuit. It's like, but
Yeah,
green's
yeah.
my favorite color. It's like, ah,
Yeah.
school rules.
She is the sort of a it's not only for characters who are immature and for punk characters like Bulma is Vegeta's sort of emotional support kind of character.
Hmm.
She is try it's the same with again Beauty and the Beast. That's normally what the characters are. There's characters who are having internal conflict, and the female character is like trying to like either moderate it or tame it in one way or the other.
Hmm.
It's like this is Vegeta. Again, we're going back to Vegeta. Like this is the Vegeta. He
Yeah.
destroyed planets, and here comes Bulma, just like you follow me, go take a
Why?
shower. You
Because you
smell. It's like
stink. It's like, oh my
yeah,
gosh.
it's like how she knows how to affect him in one way, but the other way he's sort of letting her. It's a sort of a he
Hmm.
understands that what she's saying. He didn't think about it because again, why would he think about hygiene? He's a warrior, but she is obviously giving him a perspective of a mature adult, and that's what a lot of these characters are. They're like, as I said, the conscience, the sort of the voice that's speaking reason, and you
The
can't
Chi
really,
Chi. Yeah.
yeah, you can't get offended by that. Like maybe if another enemy character says that, you might have a fight with them because that's an ego thing. But like Bulma has no power over, to fight him. the only
Hmm.
the only fight they have is verbal, like
Uh-huh.
argument,
When
and that's
Beerus
also
slaps
effective.
Bulma, and
Mhm.
it's like
Yeah,
Vegeta
yeah,
goes nuts. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
Because
uh,
he's like,
that's
because at that point you're no longer slapping just Bulma, you're slapping Vegeta. Like there's a sort of association, like this is part of me now. She is part of who I am, such an
mhm.
important part. Like, something happens to her, that's happening to me. There's an
Mhm.
emotional
Even
bond to
more
them.
so, it's like you're picking on
Yeah,
someone who's so much weaker than yourself. How
yeah,
dare you? Like,
yeah.
that's my
So
wife.
that's my
Like,
wife. That's my
uh,
wife. My wife.
that's my Boma. Like,
Bulma.
I love that scene.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but, but like, yeah, but then she's like later on in the series, like, she does scold him, but it's also like but it's not out of frustrate. It is out of frustration, but it's also out of a love for the main character. Like this would be empty if it wasn't for that emotional aspect that they like or love the main character. Like there needs to be a friendship, a genuine connection between them in order for
Yeah.
it to work so effectively.
Mhm.
Uh, with the and then later
As
on, uh,
yeah.
oh sorry, go ahead.
As I said in the beginning, of the recording was that they need to complement or like complete some sort of inefficiency in the main character. Like I
Hmm.
said, in Vegeta's case, he's not thinking about those things, or and then Bulma comes in and fills in the gaps that he's not necessarily achieving, and he doesn't want to achieve it. He doesn't care about certain things, but that's why Bulma is there to like make him care. Same with the
Hmm.
Heiko, I imagine. You know, she has her purpose to like fill in the gaps that okay, what's the main character's name? I keep forgetting.
There's Yusuke, and then
Yusuke,
there,
that's the one.
yeah, yeah.
You're Meshi.
You're a meshy.
Yeah, yeah, Urameshi. So yeah, Urameshi has obviously has flaws, and
Yes.
that's why Echo is there to fill in those gaps.
Mhm.
You know, you do the fighting, but I'll do the thinking kind of situation.
Well,
Um,
uh, even she doesn't do much of the thinking.
mm, Fair enough.
She's
Well,
definitely
she does
not in the
something
fight.
that helps. I'm assuming.
Well, let's just say she is definitely just emotional support. She is not involved in the battle whatsoever. In fact,
That's fine.
she's very ignorant to what Yusuke's really doing for most of the time. Like because like we're here doing the most dangerous things. I want to
Mhm.
keep her out of it as much as possible.
Yeah.
Like but fortunately that leads to more drama because it's like you didn't tell me and I don't know what's happening to you.
Mhm.
And that's leaving me in emotional distraught. It's like there's real consequences to things that happen, and that's what makes it so
Mhm.
good. Is that the grounded aspect to it is that what you do affects other people, even if you don't think so at the time. It's it's really cool aspect to like storytelling. Like the world doesn't just stop just because the main characters are doing something.
Mhm.
Like it's very good
Yeah.
toward that aspect.
Mhm.
Uh,
That being said,
mhm.
there's, characters who are underutilized, such as Chi-Chi. Goku doesn't need that
Yeah.
emotional support. He's pretty much there. Okay, she makes him to do, like,
Mhm.
household chores, like, perform, like, husband duties, but
Yeah. Yes,
he's
she
pretty much
does.
not used at all in a kind of emotional way. Vegeta has more of an emotional connection with Goku than his wife.
Which I think Akira almost forgot that Chi-Chi
Yeah,
exists sometimes.
just like the writer for Naruto. He can't write can't write female characters. They have no purpose there. They can't even do emotional support. Like Sakura is completely useless. At least Heiko would
Oh,
have.
that's not me. That's
Yeah,
him. It's
yeah,
not
don't
me. It's
worry.
him.
Come at me.
Yeah.
Sakura came.
He's at
You
Trend
can
Fox
shoot on
over at
her.
Trend. You
End
can
of story.
go to his Discord and complain. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
not me.
Sure.
So
Don't worry. There's not a huge fan base of Sakura. That's
yeah, it's like
I'm
Goten.
not I'm not really shaking the hornet's nest. And if I am, it's like a small little like
That's like
little
a
size
we
hornet's
have
nest.
we have mud daubers here, and they're like single nest wasps or whatever.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like, yeah, you're just destroying that one nest, and it's like, I'll just move on to another one.
One
It's like,
Sakura fan. Pretty much
yeah, the
that
right
that's a
next.
side character right there as a bad side character. Offers basically
There you
nothing.
go.
Yeah. Because again, even the writer said, "I don't know what to write about her. Like, I have no idea." I'm like, "Okay, well, I suppose you could have thought about it a bit more. Don't have her if you don't need her." But I don't
Um,
know what happened with him. He's like, "I don't know how to write female characters." Just
so
treat them as characters, dang it.
yeah, it's true. Like, yeah, no, just treat my characters. Yeah, it's like you don't need to write them as well, if you want to write them as female, it's like I don't see anything wrong with that. But like, you need to write them as characters first. It's like how they wrote Ripley for Aliens. It's like she was written as a character first, and then they decided it's going to be male or female. It's like, yeah,
Mhm.
I think that's a good way to do it.
Yep.
But like, I think we're going to move on to so a psych a side character that has a sort of like a focus on on one episode or whatever, or a few episodes by themselves.
Oh, yeah, I like those.
Yeah, so like I have on the screen Jonathan from Buffy. It's a great example because but I think I'll go first on this one because so like Jonathan is like this background character. He's kind of a joke in the background. All of a sudden he'll appear and say something like in a quivering voice. He's like, I don't have a thought on that. Bye. Like very quivering nerd type
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
of character. But then later on, he gets his own episode because he gets into magic. And so the joke is that like he's the main character of the show. And it's to a meta level where he takes over the intro for Buffy. It's like all
Mhm,
of a sudden like Johnson's defusing a bomb during the intro. I'm like, wait a minute, what? It's
mhm,
like, wait. It's like, and so his magic makes him the main character of the show. And so this whole episode is about how like he's dealing with not being a he doesn't want to be a side character anymore. He wants to be the center of the universe, sort of thing. But that comes with its own drawbacks because there's a creature that has the power to make him weak, and that's the caveat. Like that's the trade off is that like this creature like kills people and he can't stop it.
Yeah.
So it's like he may have this power and all that stuff, but he's causing hurt and real damage to the town. But
Mhm.
by doing this. And so like he just never had real friends, and that's why that's why he's doing it. It's like he just wanted people to care
Yeah.
about him. It's like, ah, that's a real interesting sort of thing to happen to a sort of
Right.
side character having his own episode. Because when it comes to TV shows, you can do that. You can have an episode about a side character and they become a main character through that one episode. And then
Mhm.
they get pushed back to the side again. Like it's fine.
But the nice thing about it though is that the side character story has developed him now, and gives us a better appreciation for when he does appear in the back in the
Yes.
side character role. He's not the same character anymore because we explored
Mhm.
him in a way that we haven't before.
Exactly. That's actually a good point because later on he actually gets more speaking roles, but he's still a side character.
Yeah. Someone was mentioned another Buffy character
Spike.
was saving who was saving the world, but no one appreciated it. No one noticed it.
Oh yeah, the Zeppo. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Xander is not he's a main character, but like the whole point is that like the whole past season, he's a non-powered guy. He has nothing. Like he's just normal person
Yeah.
of the group. But he's really the heart. But
Mhm.
he doesn't know that. But like and so people make fun of him a lot for it in that episode, but he does all this stuff and he saves the day and no one knows. And he knows it and that's all he needs.
And the audience knows it.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
once again, Xander sounds like the character who's like the everyman for the audience to relate to as they go into this
Yes.
wacky world of
Yes.
Buffy.
Yes. He's definitely a audience sort of insert character, but he's still a main character.
Yeah,
It's just he has no powers.
yeah. Which again, that's why I like that episode that was told to me is now you're turning him from a POV character into an actual character
Mhm.
because now you're giving him a chance to like prove himself. And you also
Mhm.
noted like his POV is now a unique POV. It's like
Mhm.
this insignificant where I save the world and no one cares. It's
No,
like
not
a
not no one cares. No one knows.
no one knows. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. But like it's kind of funny during the same time all the rest of the characters are dealing with like heavy stuff and he's just but you see his POV, which means you don't see all the stuff they're going through when he
yeah,
enters the scene. So
yeah,
it's like, oh, that's brilliant. Like there's some brilliant comedy that comes with that.
yeah, yeah. They're just like fighting a giant monster, and he's just in the background somewhere.
He's in the background. Yeah, that's actually true. He's in the background doing his own thing. And it's like, oh, or like he comes in during a dramatic moment when they're all like having this heavy conversation. He's like, yeah, that's never mind. I'll be somewhere else. It's like,
Okay, bye.
yeah.
Yeah, it again in one sense you can't have a show without him. He's the character. He's the audience's POV, and if he's not there, the audience won't watch a show in a sense, won't see the show.
That could
So
be it,
again,
but I
that's
don't think it's
what
that deep. But yeah,
yeah, that's
you're
what
on point.
happens when he's like going off on his own way. It's like yeah, you might see glimpses of what the plot is going, but like he's not there. He's not he's not providing the POV. You're just
Mhm.
staying with him now. Oh, poor Xander.
Xander's great. Uh,
Yeah,
but like, so yeah, I think, what was that? Because like, I can think of Dragon Ball episodes where Bulma has had their own episodes. Going back to because like, I remember like the filler episode where Bulma has to get the Dragon Ball back from being in the ocean, and she has to go through like this machine to get it back from a crab, and it's like, yeah,
she
that's
fights
her
the crab. Yeah.
episode, huh?
Like the
It's
most dangerous characters in Dragon Ball, the crab.
yeah, it's kind of because it is filler. In a I mean, I think it's bad filler, but like that's why it always gets skipped over in like Kai and stuff. Like no one cares.
Yep.
Sorry, like it
Okay.
doesn't
Not
add
yet.
character. It just adds world building.
Yep. Doesn't even have a rule, but we already know there's giant creatures in the world.
Well,
Goku
this is
faced
on Namek,
before. Oh,
so
sorry, David.
yeah.
That's true. That's
But
true though.
it's like, yeah, they have sea creatures with a world full of ocean. Like, yeah, mostly water.
Yeah, but
Uh,
what is Bulma gonna do in that in Namek?
yeah.
She has no relationship to anyone there.
hmm
Like, at
It's
least Goku has Vegeta and Frieza to fight, Gohan has to, like, and Krillin have to look for the Dragon Balls and also meet the Namekians. They at least have some sort of
hmm
way of traveling. What does Bulma have? You just of course, she's gonna sit in the cave
she's gonna sit in the
and wait.
cave. She's gonna sit in this crevasse. Then it's like it's like Bulma is kind of meta for like Akira's writing at the moment. She's like, yeah, you're a nothing character now. It's like,
You
oh
served your
man,
purpose, you delivered them there. You delivered
yeah,
them to Namek. Okay, wait there, park the car,
park the
and we'll
car.
be back.
Remember we parked. Boop,
Yeah, remember where we
boop.
parked. Don't lose the keys,
Yeah, it's
you know?
true. If they lose Bulma, they lose their keys. Like
Yeah.
it's Chief's keys.
Keys, I mean Bulma. Poor Bulma.
Oh man, it's kind of funny they did that in the bridge where it's like I could have swore someone brought us here. Oh, that's right, Bulma. Like,
Yeah, easy to
uh,
forget sometimes.
but yeah, I can't remember. I'm just saying, like, I love this type of character episodes. I should say, where like you get the POV from somebody that like is in the background, so you not only you get their perspective on their world.
Yeah.
Um, so it's like that's why I brought up Jonathan. I think it's a great example of
Mhm.
that sort of thing. Uh, so
Yeah,
yeah, it's
because
like, mhm,
what you do is give them depth, essentially. You're giving them a chance to
mhm,
prove themselves, which they normally the show doesn't let them.
exactly.
And when you have that, you just that one episode makes him a much more compelling character for the rest of the series. So
Mhm.
as a creator, you might as well do that one episode and develop this character well. Yeah. Normally they do that before they kill them, so I don't know whether he survives or not. So uh, typical. That's a typical. Let's build this connection between the audience and the side character. Then and so then when he dies, it's about more emotional impactful for the audience members.
Man,
But I'm
you
not gonna
have
ask whether.
great prediction powers, Trend. Like,
Oh, storytelling is just recognizing patterns. That's all there is to
true,
it.
but they don't
You know,
have to die. But you know, it's
yeah,
like they can go somewhere else instead. But yeah,
yeah. You watch the Netflix Avatar: Last Airbender.
yes, I watched the
Yes,
first episode where it's like
yeah, yeah.
these
Remember
aren't
the old man?
there's no
The old man
patterns in that.
saying, yeah.
No,
Remember the
never
old
mind.
man
There's
saying
bad
like,
patterns. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, no, the one that was clearly like I was watching it. I was watching with Hollow, and we were watching the old man talking to Aang, like the old master. And
Yes.
he goes, "One day you will regret not spending time with your teachers." And like immediately I said, like, "Well, this guy just signed his own death warrant.
I
When
know,
is he gonna
right?
die? He's so gonna die." When you say things like that, where your character says things like that, you're like, "Oh,
It's
this
like when
guy's dead."
Han Solo says, like, what's that, Ray? It's like I see you as a father figure, you know, it's him as a
Oh
father
yeah,
figure. I'm like, oh, he's dead. I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah. I don't know what I'll do if you die.
yeah, it's like
It will somehow be a tragic moment, and I'll really be sad about it. It
it's
it's
like the
like those.
Simpsons when they so there's Frank Castle, not Frank Castle, thank God, that's freaking Punisher. But like you know that German guy plays oh man, who's that parody of Arnold Schwarzenegger? Uh in The
Oh,
Simpsons. Uh well, you know, it's
McBain,
like McBain, yeah. Uh
McBain.
there's you know the McBain movies, they do all the action tropes. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, look at my little girl. It's like and then we just christened a ship and we're gonna go on. And I have 1 day till retirement.
yeah.
It's like, you know, it's like he gets
One
shot like
day
a
till
thousand times. It's like
yeah,
Mendoza.
yeah. I mean, that's a parody, but it's true though. It's,
Yes.
if you ever DM one of the ways to make your character make the players care about the plot line is introduce like a cute mascot character and then just have the villain just kill him. Like spend some time be like, oh, this is Boblin the Goblin has joined the party and he's like helping you out,
That's
like
what I
bringing you
did.
some stuff. Yeah. And then just take his life away. And then those players will never gonna be sidetracked again. They're like, we need to kill this guy. We need to kill this wizard that killed Boblin.
Um,
Give Boblin a little sacrificial, sacrifices for the team.
mhm.
That's clear like writing tropes right there, but they really are effective. There's a reason why they're effective.
Yeah,
Mhm,
I was thinking of, like, in the terms of, I don't wanna, uh I don't wanna go into too much, but I made a character, like, an actual character, and I put it as, like, the NPC innkeeper,
yeah,
and, like, sometimes she went on adventures with them
mhm,
because she was actually a half rogue, half ranger sort of thing, and so, like,
right,
it's well, no, it was half rogue, half fighter, yeah, and so, like, so she was able to go on adventures, so, like, and, like, she was doing all this research for the, like, what's underneath the city, kinda thing, and, like, she gets killed for it, and it's like, by the way, this
yeah,
is 2 years in from having the NPC with them.
yeah, yeah,
So it's like, we're gonna go underneath, like, that's what I wanted. Like, yes, you care so much. Like, I I did it. Uh,
yeah,
really simple but effective.
mhm.
Side character dying. It's kind of funny. Like, I never thought we'd talk about that, but like, yeah, with side character deaths. Um, so like, for example, like, there. I think Krillin's a main character.
I thought you
I,
were gonna say Krillin. I was in my head, I was like, he's gonna say Krillin because that's
yeah,
such an obvious thing,
yeah.
because it's so well
He dies
done. Like,
twice.
Krillin's
Like,
death yeah, Krillin's death was an impactful thing for,
um,
for Goku.
I'm actually more. Actually, I think it's more impactful when Piccolo's minion did it. More
Yeah,
effective than it was during like Frieza. But they both have like significant implications. Like Akira Toriyama is like, who should I kill? This bald guy, I guess. Like,
the only problem is that, he's done it so many times now that it's becoming a trope on its own.
yes,
Like, even the team for, Abridged, like, the Dragon Ball Z Abridged made the joke about that, like, "Have you all died?" It's like, "Yeah, me twice." It just at this point, it's just like an ice cream sundae for us.
yeah. It's like, if
Which
I die again, I get an ice cream sundae, huh?
yeah,
It's like, yeah, it's
yeah,
like death
death
has no
became
meaning.
meaningless.
Yeah, death has
Yeah,
no meaning in that series.
yeah.
But
Oh, yeah, poor
uh,
Krillin.
what was it? Well,
Every time a villain
I'm
shows
kind
up,
of.
Krillin just gulps.
I'm sorry.
I said every time a villain shows up, Krillin just gulps. He's like, "I know where this is going."
It's kind of funny. Super made fun of like upcoming the challenges where he had to face off against like he went to the land
Mhm.
where he has to get stronger for the tournament of power. And
Yeah, yeah.
so like he goes off to this land that forces him to confront his fears, which is like Tambourine, Frieza, and all the people who've like almost killed him.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
There's a
oh
big
wow.
list.
Like,
Big list. Because Vegeta getting punched, like, it's some a little bit cathartic because he is a bit
yes.
of a jerk, so, like, it's okay that you punch him, but Krillin, like, he has done nothing wrong. He's there to he's the Dragon Ball Z equivalent of Milton, like, from Suicide Squad.
Yeah. The
He's
Suicide
there to,
Squad.
like, help out, he's not there to, like, save the day necessarily, but he's obviously there, he's kind-hearted, and he's, like,
He's
chill dude.
helping, and
Yeah,
that's why you're like, "Oh, man." It's like you kicked a puppy. It's like
yeah, yeah, like, so it's nice when he has some good moments as well, but,
Mhm.
yeah, Vegeta would not be able where Vegeta comes in, it's like, only on the Buu Saga really where you see his, like, the abuse that he receives as, like, "Oh, like, this I feel bad for him now because Krillin's dead, so they can't use him anymore." So they have to use Vegeta as the little, like, tortured puppy.
Yeah,
Uh,
torture puppy.
I mean, that's what he is. Look how the beating
I
he gets
know.
in in Dragon Ball Buu Saga.
I
The amount
I love it when Goku hooks him up to the cliff, and he's like he starts slapping him in the face. It's like like what? Feeling like ashamed, feeling like pitiful. It's like fool, you don't know what humiliation is. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and then like
It's
Goku hits him with a big part of the cliff. It's like
yeah.
with his hands. It's freaking great.
Well, it's a great scene, but again, from a meta perspective, think about what what Vegeta is sort of implying. Is like, "You're turning me into Krillin, essentially." It's like the gap is just widening, and I'm gonna be irrelevant just like Krillin. Like,
Oh
if you see it
yeah.
that way, like, he will be the Krillin of the team if he doesn't keep, like, show some respect, like, gain some respect from Goku.
Hmm.
In a sense, he's still during the Buu Saga, he becomes the Krillin. Krillin's dead, we need someone to get kicked around while Goku charges up his beam.
Yeah, he becomes
Piccolo
the
was also
Piccolo. Yeah.
yeah, you can see the repetitive tropes there.
Yes, they do that a lot.
They do it,
Da,
yeah, yeah,
da, 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 da.
they do that. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's what the side characters are. They're just like, "Okay, main character's busy, what do we do? Well, we have to make side characters do things,
Hmm.
and hopefully they survive." Like
Even Yu Yu Hakusho, like they have four main protagonists. They definitely have like I think even main characters have side character moments when they're just in the background. They're the cheer squad sometimes. They're like sometimes the lesser of the main characters gets choked out, and then the other main character has to stand up. You know, or
mhm.
like even like the main character, like the big guy gets knocked down, and the side character has their moment. Like that happens a lot in Naruto. Like, oh man, Naruto's down. Here, I'll fight for you. Like,
Mhm.
okay.
But
And
really, we're just stalling for time for Naruto to get back up and defeat take the
yeah,
last hit.
yeah. Uh,
We need the main character to do the job.
how you enter? I know. Here's an interesting subject. Like how side character is introduced. Like
Mhm.
for example, Trunks. I think when he shows up, is well introduced. He's just like I'm gonna. He makes a jobber of Frieza. That's how you know how powerful he is. It's
Mhm.
like
He's Super Saiyan 2.
Super Saiyan as well.
Really
Yes.
annoys Vegeta.
It's like, it's like, no, not two Super Saiyans. He has that nightmare. Like,
Yeah, 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 just like his role as Prince of of all Saiyans is becoming more, like, less and less significant.
mhm.
Yeah.
uh, his he was well, he was told for as a young age that like he was gonna be like an important warrior. Like, it's like
Yeah.
they're like he's the pedigree of Saiyans, and now he's like, what the heck is going on with my life? It's like,
Mhm. Yep. That's what happens when you're a side character sometimes, your role
Mhm.
changes. Your
Yep.
role changes and becomes something else. Which I wanna bring up on my little topic is, introduction of Shadow the Hedgehog. Uh,
Yeah.
what's interesting about him, Knuckles was meant to be the Shadow, like, that's what's meant to be Sonic's rival. It everything about Knuckles' design was that. The problem is that he was also too kid friendly. They
Oh
couldn't fill the role that they wanted, like, Sonic's nemesis to be, and you could just see how irrelevant Knuckles is now, and, like, I feel bad for him a little bit.
well,
The
I
Shadow's just such a good contrasting character.
it's a good thing he's so memeable.
He is,
Like,
but again, as a side character, Shadow serves a better purpose than Knuckles. Knuckles is, like, again, the Krillin. He's there, but Shadow is actually a Vegeta of the team. But
yeah, of
like, yeah,
course.
there was a time where Knuckles was the Vegeta, like in Knuckles 2 or sorry,
Yeah, he
Knuckles,
was in Sonic 3. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, he was the Vegeta, he was the rival, he mocked Sonic, he did all the everything he needed to do to make him a villain, he just wasn't villainous enough. He was just
He's more like the Piccolo, than like than a Krillin because he at first he's equal. Um, especially in like so I watched the Sonic 2, the movie, and he's definitely like the Piccolo type where he's just he's been told a lie about Sonic, about being his
yeah,
enemy.
He doesn't
by
have a relationship.
by
He doesn't have a relationship of hatred against Sonic.
oh, he does. Um,
Oh
because,
yeah.
um because, like, he's the one that's like, "You destroyed my family." That it's like, "No, I had nothing to do with that." "Yeah, but your kind did, because you were raised by a different parent, a bird or whatever." It's like, "They destroyed my family." It's like, "Oh gosh." It's like, "So you are just as responsible." It's like,
It's
"Oh,
like, I don't know who you are.
I even know who you are." It's like but, like, exactly, that's where, like, and then Eggman spurs him on in that. But then he realizes, like, it's not Sonic's fault. Like,
Yeah,
Knuckles is very well characterized in Sonic 2 movie.
he is.
Like,
Again, it's a smarter movie than you think, actually. So I'm looking forward to
no.
Sonic.
It's not.
Shut up, it is. The It's such a simple story, and I kinda like it because of it. Like, everything I
Yeah.
could have predicted, I literally predicted, like, shadows and, like, how they're gonna present Shadow. I told my friend about it. I was like, "They're gonna have a little close-up of him in a vat. It's gonna zoom up to his eyes, and then he's gonna open those eyes." And literally, beat for beat, that's that's what happened.
Yeah, like,
It's such a
pretty
predictable
much,
thing.
except for the opening of eyes, I think, but yeah, that's
No,
pretty
he
much
does
it.
open the eyes. Yeah, and then it
He's
goes
an after credit scene, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
Uh,
I love that scene.
I'm so glad those are dying.
What?
Um,
After credit scenes?
yes, they're dying.
Oh, they're
There's
gonna be back. Don't worry. Don't you worry.
because I haven't
Shadow
seen
will
one
be
in
back in
years.
Endgame.
Uh, I haven't seen one in years. Like, even Marvel's not having those as much. It's
Because
like,
no one's sticking around.
because
Speaking of
mhm.
I was saying, speaking of, Dragon Ball Z fights, I really enjoy the memes where, Goku and Vegeta are like, "Let's go somewhere quiet to fight," and then they just go to, like, a screening, like an empty
Screening
screen.
of, like,
It's like Ms.
Black
Marvel.
Widow was the first one, I
Yeah,
think. It's like, haha, that's funny.
I really like those memes. It's really funny. Like, why would you make it out, like, end credit sequence if no one's there to watch it?
Oh, people yeah, when I work at the theater, it's like, "It's gonna be after credit scene?" I'm like, "I doubt it." Like, now it's a dying art, and I'm like, "Thank goodness." I hate those
You
things.
just say, "Do you really care that if there is?" And they would be like, "No," and then they
That's
would
the only
see.
reason to go. That's the meta. It's like, you're not going for the movie, you're going to see what's next. Like, that's one of the main problems that Marvel has.
Yeah.
Anywho, I think we've dried up the topic a little bit.
Hey, that's okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Next up, tune in next time for talking about end credits
yeah,
or end
yeah.
sequence.
But, like, this is the after credits, sequence.
Yeah,
Um,
credits.
yeah, sorry I was less I guess I'm less focused on the idea, but you definitely helped. Like
Hey, that's what I'm here for. As your emotional side character,
yeah.
myself, I am here to guide you.
Like, I've had this idea rolling in my head about, like, how they don't respect the side characters when it comes to mainstream. But it's really important because 'cause they're so needed. Not everyone in your film, show can be a main character. It's just the nature of the it's the nature of the art. Like, even in literature, from comic book to novel, not
Yeah.
everyone can be focused upon, and it's fine. Like,
One of
there's
one of the
NPCs in the world, okay? Like
one of the things we didn't discuss in terms of bad side characters is when they're only there to promote how cool the main character is.
mhm. You can do
They're just
that good, you know?
yeah, 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 but you
Yeah,
can also do that.
really
I
badly.
can't do it. It's only you. You're able to stop this villain. I'm too weak." It's just like, "Okay,
That feels like
cool."
Marvel. Like,
Yeah, yeah, I was thinking
"You're
more like
so
Star Wars.
cool!" Like, "Yeah, I
Yeah,
am."
you just need to believe in yourself.
It's like,
Thanks.
what's that, the new Mortal Kombat? It's like that main character is so bland, he has to have other characters say how great he is. Like,
Yeah, to be
uh,
fair, yeah, the new Mortal Kombat, you can have a full video on that because the ending part, they literally have, like, your OC or, like, your character, like, fighting through other, like, versions of the characters, be like, "Yeah, I'm the coolest one," and then Liu Kang goes, "You did a good job. You are the hero of this game." You know, just like
oh, yeah, it's they pretty much I mean, they don't say that directly, but of course, like, they might as well just say that.
they do,
Uh,
they have a close-up of, like, him almost, like, putting the hand on the shoulder and being like, You are the champion. You are the Mortal Kombat. Kind
Yeah,
of,
you were the Mortal Kombat we made
you
along the
are the
way.
Mortal Kombat. You are all the Jedi.
Yes, it's that's what I mean. It's like it's bad. It's like it's. I should say like I know it's kind of funny. It all comes down to bad writing.
That
At the
always
back,
does.
which is
Always
the
does.
backbone of the
Mhm.
what's wrong with all these things. But I wanted to focus on side characters.
The good ones, yeah. The good side characters, not
Um,
those ones.
yeah, the bad side character. Like what was it? It's like I said earlier, Wakanda Forever. It's like I like her. It's like, and they're just gaslighting the audience. It's like, yeah, you like her too. It's like because we said so. It's like
Mhm.
that's not how that works. You have to make us invest and care. Like
I feel there's a greatness in you. You may just become better than me. Like
I don't,
those kind of lines.
I don't even necessarily dislike the lines. Like
Yeah.
it's just that time and place, how it's portrayed. It's like or what if it's like a mentor saying that to their student? Like that would work. It's like in like what was
Mhm.
that like Karate Kid at the end of Karate Kid when like Mr. Miyagi is like and like Daniel is like I don't want to quit. Like I need to go out there again. I don't care how injured I am. It's like and he sees the determination in Daniel and he's like, "Okay, I'll do my best to fix your leg because
I'll use my magic
I
chi power.
I can see the effort that you want to put forth into the competition. It's not just a it's like I know you want to win, but like now he wants to do it for like himself, not for his own pride, not just for the pride of winning. It's
Mm,
there's something to that.
yeah.
Um, but even it's like when it's kind of funny when Vegeta's talking about like to Goku. It's like or like actually I'm going to do this. I'm going to go with yeah, we're talking about side characters, so I need to be focused. Like when Vegeta's telling like he destroyed a whole race, Kakarot. Like you must have the Saiyan within you. You can't like you need to like you're the last remaining Saiyan, in speech.
Remember when I was gonna destroy Earth? Think how much that would suck? Yeah, use that anger against
Yeah,
Frieza.
yeah, yeah. And it's like what was it like in the dub, in the original dub? It's like a heart of stone couldn't couldn't cry like you just did. It's like,
Oh,
yeah, and then he makes a grave. Like that's really, really kind of intense scene.
well, it's too bad that Frieza was told by Beerus to destroy the Saiyan race.
I hate that. Oh, I hate it. It's so stupid.
Because they couldn't give him a pillow. Yep. All
It's
the
like, no, Frieza didn't do it on her own because she feared the Saiyans. I'm like,
yeah, yeah.
sure.
The thing that would make a full circle. Like the thing that'd be like, this is what you're afraid of, but your actions have led you to be to the thing that you're afraid the most.
Yeah, it's not yeah, because like that would make it narratively relevant, the Lucas thing, it rhymes,
Yeah.
like
It's thematically what you need to
mhm.
do.
Yeah,
It's the
then
same
now
thing
it's like,
Kung Fu
nah,
Panda
a
did.
higher power did it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's Kung Fu Panda 2 did the same. In the Fear of the Pandas, Shin was his name? The peacock, the
Yeah, yeah.
peacock guy.
The
Yeah, he
NP
killed
the
pandas, but
the NBC logo, okay? Like,
yeah, 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 the peacock guy, he's like, yeah, Shen, I think it was.
mm,
Uh, and that's went full circle, and that's why he was defeated in the end. Same thing with Frieza, the same plot line essentially.
the
So,
prophecy led them to take action.
but no,
It
don't worry, you won't get, you won't see me defending Super all that much.
no,
They, they,
no,
they
I don't
changed too
defend
many
Super
things.
either.
They
It's
recontextualized a few too many things in that
to
one.
to me, it's just as bad as GT. Like,
Ooh. See, now you're gonna get the controversy.
heck
Don't worry,
yeah,
we're
let's
not
do it.
going to
Come at me.
come
I
at me.
Super is like GT. They have cool ideas but bad execution.
I like the idea of like we both have controversial statements on like on a fan base.
Yeah.
Uh, I just get like one like tiny little ladybug landing on me, and then you're like swarmed with like fire ants, just like constantly attacking you for saying super is bad.
Hey,
Meanwhile, my
whatever.
attack rate is
Like
just like Yeah, I don't like you.
Tournament of Power is okay.
Tournament of Power is no.
I think it's okay. There's a good
Mm,
moments, but
there's good
yeah.
moments, but no. I if I already watched it with an analytical like scan
Mhm.
mode engaged, I would find so many flaws there.
Yep, 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 yep. I would too.
Yeah,
But
but
like
yeah,
the only thing good out of Super, and I recommend it, is the Broly movie. It's real good.
I like Battle of Gods.
It's
I know it
okay.
it it ruins the Saiyans, but it ruins the Frieza arc, but I
I'd
think
rather
the
watch Battle of Gods than the original Super series because it's so slow when it comes to actually getting actually getting to the point. Battle of Gods
for
just fast tracks that stuff.
for
Like,
the most part, Beerus is the only reason. Like, the
yeah,
way
Beerus is
he's
yeah,
an
I
amazing
like
character
Beerus. Yeah, as
until
characters, I
until
should
he
say.
gets
Man,
cucked by everyone.
talk about a like let's see, even side characters can be real important to the story. Beerus is a good
Mm,
example, I think.
Beer Mr. Beerus.
Okay, I think we're winding down
I
to
think we're
a
yeah, I think we talked all about
a,
the side
a
characters.
0 point. I think I
Mhm.
got my point across that I think that like they're real important. It's sort of like how like back in the day, I remember it's like um when like Anita would complain about like women being side characters. Oh, that's sexist.
I complain about the same thing. No joke.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm like, no, that's not it at all. Like you can't have everyone focused upon the same. Not just like not everyone has the same amount of agency within the story. That's just how stories work.
They have as much as they need. If
Yep.
they need more agency, you give them more. If they don't need the agency, then don't even have them. Don't
Even
even
main
force them.
Yeah, even main characters can be POC characters. Like well, it's like Hellstar Renema. It's like
Mhm.
she's just along for the ride. She's it's like a Dante's Inferno type of situation where it's like it's a point of view sort of character just describing what they see. Uh
Mhm.
it's sort of Alice in Wonderland. Sort of idea. So it all
Yeah.
depends on what you want out of your story.
If you're a writer, think of it this way: Wizard of Oz.
Yep.
Look at the 3 characters that, they come across.
Hmm.
I forgot the name of Dorothy. I was gonna say Alice.
Dorothy,
Dorothy.
Scarecrow, Iron
Yep.
Man, uh,
Yeah, Iron Man. Sure,
and
that's the one.
and and
And
Aslan.
what do they represent? Yeah, you what do they represent? Because they all represent a certain, the character, the main character, um,
A
and they have a
heart,
purpose. Each
a
one has a
brain,
purpose.
courage, and a little dog.
And a little dog. The little dog is
I-
the thing that she
Innocence.
treasures the most because the whole concept of, Wizard of Oz is that they want to get rid of the dog,
Yeah,
so
it's
she has
true.
to
She's
protect
like,
him.
this dog barks too much. I want to kill it. Like, whoa! It's like,
Yeah, and again, that's all of those characters have a deeper meaning for the main character.
hmm
They all represent something.
true.
In and you'll see it for the side characters, they typically do again have some sort of representation of they somehow symbolize the main character in one way or the other,
Hmm.
or maybe what they're not. They that's what you require of side characters the most is like use them that way. Um, See what your character is, where their flaws are, and to create a side character suitable for that. Don't just put them in randomly.
Yeah, like have. Oh yeah, yeah. I think that's what I'm sort of getting at. The Hawkins razor, yeah, of it is
Mhm,
that have purpose and execute it like
mhm,
in the way the artist wants, uh,
yep,
or or at least something to that effect. Because it necessarily don't have to. They could be the opposite of what the main character is.
mhm,
Like without being villains. Like they don't have to be villains to be opposite. Like that's what I think. There are rules, and then we can once you know the rules, you can sort of change them. Uh, it's sort of like when it comes to any sort of art. knowing the basics lets you, or knowing the rules, lets you lessen your constraints on them yourself.
Yeah.
Uh,
Just
s-
ask the question, why is the side character there? Every time you watch a show, ask what does the side character do in the plot? Because they have a purpose. And if you can't answer that question, that's a badly written side character.
that's an
Simple as that.
interesting
They serve no
point,
purpose.
because there are side characters that are just not characters. They're just
Mm,
background. Then there's the side character that like speaks up once in a while. Because I'll go on the Buffy for a minute,
mhm.
because there's a psychiatrist, and like he's not really a character, but he says a couple of things, and it's really important and makes him really likable, and then he gets killed. But like,
Yeah.
but still, he had a purpose.
Mhm.
Like, he
One
wasn't
more.
just there to get well, he was there to get killed, but he was there to sort of have a motivation for the main character. Like,
Mhm.
no matter how small your part is, like make it really not important, but make it purposeful.
Yep. Purpose is the key word here. If
Mhm.
it says no purpose, don't have them.
Uh,
But then
when that comes to
again, you'll
scenes
find a
too.
side character. You find a side character
Mhm,
when you understand your own main character.
mhm.
Then the side character should come spawn from there. It's like
Yes.
I have a lighthearted and friendly character. Okay, let's put a little bit of a nasty character to contrast him, or let's put
Mhm.
a this character. That's where you have the Krillins, the Piccolos. Like
Or the
look at all the contrasting characters for Goku, and then you'll
mhm.
see like a pattern. They're all somehow opposite, like have some sort of negative traits that Goku doesn't have.
Well,
You
they're
know,
more
Krillin,
human. N
yeah, they're
n
sleazy. There's a more Piccolo. Again, you have King Piccolo dictatorial, which again Goku doesn't have any of that. He doesn't care about it.
Mhm.
And you see the ones that stick as side characters, the ones that stick the most will be the ones that represent the main character the best. Like because people will just gravitate towards them.
Mm.
And Vegeta is perfect example of that. So we keep talking about him, going back to him
Yeah, yeah,
because
because
he's a
he's
beautiful
the
character for Goku, and that's why he stayed longer than Piccolo. That's why he stayed longer than
mhm. Well,
Krillin.
once he got over his arc was over when he died in the Saiyan Saga, because that's when his, arc was over because he became the the, uh the person he never wanted to be, so, like, I want revenge on Goku, but, like, he can't do it because he got close to his son, and that made him a more and then he completed his arc, so
Yep.
therefore, there's
He
not
became the
much.
emotional character,
Y
emotional side character.
yeah, therefore, his when his arc came to an end, like, what do you do with him? Like, that's another thing, right?
Mhm,
Life goes on. I've mentioned this before, but, like, life goes on around the main character, it doesn't just stay still. So it's kind of
mhm,
really hard for, like, what does the side character do in the meantime when he's not on screen? What like, how do they change? Like, yeah, you kinda have to write that in your head
mhm.
if you plan to do something like that. Like,
Yep.
the world doesn't stay still, and you shouldn't write that, so, like
Mhm, mhm. The side character has a personality of its own. He has to be doing something.
mhm.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think this is goodbye. I think, that we're at the end, we're trying to give, like, some kind of, like, general writing advice when it comes to side characters.
Yep,
Uh,
gave mine. Mhm.
mhm,
Do
and
you have any
so
more?
I'm sorry?
No, that's it. I said,
Oh,
I think I gave mine. I think we made it pretty clear
yeah.
what we liked, what we didn't like about the side characters. So all it gives now is to
Mhm.
write some.
Uh, yeah, it's just that, it's kinda funny. I think when people write characters, I don't think they mean to write the, the the background noise of people around them. They only mention the people that they want to mention. Like, I think there's purpose in that, but what we mean by purposeful, I mean, like, make sure it adds something. I think
Mhm.
that's I think that's more clear.
One of the rules in well, not rules, but one of the lessons we were learning from film school was the idea when you think about a character. Let's say your character dies, like just like heart attack, falls off.
Mhm.
How quickly will someone discover them?
Oh, it depends on
Yeah.
where they are.
Well, let's say they died in their house, a heart attack, they drop dead. So
Mhm.
now you think, who's gonna come to find them? Well, now because he can't live in a vacuum. The main character does not live in a vacuum unless he's like completely isolated, which is another character trope. But like, if you're thinking like how to populate my story with side
Mhm.
characters,
Literally listen to Vacuum. He's like, "I'm being here." Like,
just think about that. Yeah, just think
yeah.
about that. He dies in this house. Who comes to see him? So Goku dies. Probably Krillin, best buddy, comes around. Okay,
Mhm.
so he has a best buddy
His
now. Got
wife,
it.
his
Yeah,
son,
wife, son. Yeah, that
you
means
know,
he has a family man.
there's a
Like
bunch
you,
of
you're building
answers.
a character out of nowhere. Yeah,
Mhm.
you're building a character relationships now because no one just dies and just stays dead forever in the sense and like
Mhm.
stays in the house. There's gonna be someone. It could be the 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 landlord who's like, "Where's my rent?" And then discovers, and then that tells you about the main character more.
Or like, maybe it's the police, like, it's because I can't get in. It's like, "Okay, we're gonna,
Yeah,
like, open the door." It's like, "Oh my gosh." Like, that's usually a Law& and Order, like, episode. It's like
but that's how we see. Like, that's
Mhm.
where your side characters will come in at most. Is like your main character is dead. Who comes to see him? And then he's like, "Oh, is he married? He's not. So it's not gonna be the wife or kid."
Is that an
Good.
exercise, I guess? Well, we don't know if it's a kid. What if he's a single dad?
It's a thought exercise.
What if
It's
he's a
like
single
it's
dad? What if he adopted a child? It's like,
yeah.
like all these things are sort of like writing about the character because a character
Mhm.
will be fleshed out by the
A
time you're done
character
with
does
them,
not
I'm
live in a
sure.
vacuum. Yeah, there's other people he's affected in. So now we have to establish who
Mhm.
he's affected most and why. Yeah. Good
W
advice.
One of the best teacher student moments is from Yu Yu Hakusho, where it's like she has to teach him, drill into his head about this punk kid, is that, like, you can't just be a cocky kid anymore. Every choice you makes affects the countless people who are affected by you.
Yep.
Like, it's such a, because like, this is like, that's what I mean by like the teacher and student, you can be direct with that kind of dialogue.
Sure.
It's like because you're teaching, so therefore you have to be direct. So it's kind of like ways of getting exposition out. Is like you get a new character, like or someone new to the world, and you explain it to them. Golden rule of of exposition writing.
Yep.
Uh, so yeah, I guess we're done.
Right.
Where do we?
I'm not gonna go too much on exposition, but
Yeah, yeah. I guess we're done.
yeah.
So anything you want to do before I say goodbye or
Nope. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
yay.
It was always interesting to chat. Hope that gave you some
Yeah.
insight into side characters, and hopefully you provided some as well.
Mhm. That's my new friendo, Trend Fox. I'm over
Friendo,
there all the
friend of your
time.
friend,
We have the deep media conversations or not.
friend of your
Doesn't
friend. You
matter.
want to learn about writing, filmmaking,
Yeah.
visual storytelling? Come here.
Not here. Nah. Nah. It's like,
You'll find me. Don't worry. I'll be around.
yeah.
I'm like a
S-
tumor. I grow everywhere. You'll see me.
the trend tumor. It's gonna be
No one's
new on
gonna escape.
TikTok.
Yeah.
The like I got a tumor too. Like, whoa. It's like do the tumor
There you go.
dance.
One day Logan Paul is like, I'm here sitting with Trent Fox
Yeah,
himself.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, why is
No.
he here? What he's doing
Like,
like video games?
no. It's
Yeah,
hey
that's
man, it's another day, bro. Like, no. It's
like
like
when Donald Trump kicks it is like, I want to thank Trent Fox for coming here, giving me
yeah.
some writing advice for my speech. Very good guy.
Very
Well,
good
good
guy.
Fox.
He he
Very good
he,
Fox.
he cuts
I know
like
he's a robot, but that's okay. It's okay. My best
Fox
friend's a robot.
robots. Uh
Yeah.
I think he's the best Fox robot.
Thanks, Fox Robot.
So yeah,
Just like
you can
you're
find him
you're
at
a reader
uh
like me. Yep, got
what's your YouTube channel?
roaming tread. I
Okay,
roam around the internet.
I'll make sure to put that in the description when I upload this, and it'll take 5
Sure.
hours. Like,
Just look up Hasman Hotel is bad, and you'll probably find find
yeah.
my video.
Hey, there you go. That's
Easier
okay.
one. No, I'm joking.
It's like the uh I call it the Hogwarts Legacy effect. It's like, oh man, it's like there's this thing that they like, and they'll go watch it out of hate, but end up like going to your channel,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
going to your and then go to Discord anyway. So I'm like, actually, I agree. It's like,
"Oh, man, this guy knows about right. I wonder if I could get advice from him. I wonder if there's a way to contact him. Oh, wait, there's a Discord link where he's always chilling in voice
yes, we both have Discords.
Yeah, you
Very good
have
for
to
that.
Captain Falco's Discord as well,
Sure.
if you
It's
want to. Amazing.
not as active as yours, but like it's definitely
Hey,
it's like I'm
don't
the
worry.
I'm the poor man in
Okay.
in this
It's okay.
conversation.
It's okay, Mr. Falco. It's okay.
But that's fine.
Yo,
We'll see you guys later. Ciao
bye.
ciao.